Hi, I'm Joel Cunningham, editor of the Barnes & Noble Science Fiction and Fantasy blog, and I'm here with another installment of the B&N Sci-Fi and Fantasy Mailbag. First up is one from FSG. Here's a good one. This is Born by Jeff Vandermeer. He's the author of Annihilation, the first book of the Southern Reach trilogy, which is going to be a movie later this year with Natalie Portman. So this is a new book from him. I believe it's a standalone. It's a scavenger in a ruined, dangerous city of the near future littered with discarded experiments from the company, a biotech firm now seemingly derelict. There's an attack by a giant bear, and she finds a little green lump, plant or animal, that exudes a strange charisma, so she takes it home. So we got weird creatures and a crazy landscape. Sounds like Jeff Vandermeer to me. This is Brimstone by Sherry Priest, probably best known for the steampunk fantasy book Bone Shaker. This is a new fantasy set in World War I about a man who was forced to use a terrible weapon that doused the enemy in liquid fire. Really messed him up, as you could understand. So he comes home haunted by memories of the woman he loved and the atrocities he perpetrated. Meanwhile, he meets a clairvoyant who also dreams of fire, and it has some connection to the war. So it sounds like lightly fantastical war story from an author who does period pieces really well. Here's one for longtime epic fantasy fans. The Heart of What Was Lost is Tad Williams' return to Ostenard, the setting of his Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy, which came out in the 80s. It was one of those really meaty fantasy series that made a splash and is said to have inspired George R. R. Martin to write A Song of Ice and Fire. So if you love those books, he's going back to the series with this one. Takes place after that trilogy, and later this year he's got the first book in a new trilogy. It's called The Witchwood Crown, and that's starting off another trilogy set some decades after the original books. So if you like epic fantasy, you want to check these out. Within the Sanctuary of Wings is Marie Brennan's final book in her Lady Trent series. This is a series set in the Victorian era about a proper lady who adventures around the world hunting down dragons. So it's like a sort of semi-realistic zoological series about a woman who's traveling around the world. The books are a lot of fun, especially if you like the period setting, and this one wraps up the series. And we're ending things with two more books from Saga Press. Laura Ann Gilman's The Cold Eye. This is the sequel to a book that came out last year, which was called Silver on the Road. These are weird westerns about a young girl who gets a job working as the devil's right hand, basically doing dirty work for the devil in an Old West setting. So this is book 2 of that series. And this last one is John Kessel's The Moon and the Other. This is from a much decorated author who's returning with a big chunky novel after having not published a book in some time. This is set in the mid-22nd century, and it's at a time when more than 3 million people live on the moon. So I love moon colony stories, so I'm already interested. But there's also a matriarchal society that is in control of the moon. So this takes place within that society, and it's got some great notices, including quotes from Kim Stanley Robinson and Karen Joy Fowler, two authors I love, so I'll definitely be checking this one out. That's the stack of books in the B&N Sci-Fi and Fantasy Mailbag this week. Let us know which one you'd like to read in the comments. Follow us on Twitter at BNscifi, and come back next week if you enjoy watching me ramble on and on about books every week in the B&N Sci-Fi and Fantasy Mailbag.